While the world spent billions chasing stealth, one jet quietly found the weak spot in Canada's entire air strategy. It wasn't built to dominate headlines. It was built to expose flaws, the kind no one wanted to admit existed. And that's exactly what Sweden's Gripen E just did. For decades, Canada has stood at the crossroads of geography and geopolitics, a nation bordered by the Arctic, tied to NATO, and shadowed by the military reach of the United States. Its skies stretch across the second-largest landmass on Earth. Yet its air fleet? Shrinking, aging, and tied to decisions made in Washington. The Royal Canadian Air Force has long relied on American fighters, first the CF-104, then the CF-18 Hornet. Reliable, yes, but always foreign, always dependent. So when Ottawa launched its next-generation fighter program, a competition to replace its aging Hornets, it seemed like a historic chance to regain independence in the skies. The contenders were some of the most advanced machines on Earth: America's F-35, Europe's Typhoon, and Sweden's Saab Gripen E. Everyone expected a two-horse race between the US and Europe. The Gripen? That was the wild card. Smaller, cheaper, and from a country with a population smaller than Canada's largest province. Critics called it a lightweight toy in a heavyweight fight. They weren't laughing for long. The Gripen wasn't designed to be the biggest, fastest, or most expensive. It was designed to survive and win in the harshest, most complex conditions. While the F-35 depends on massive support systems, complex logistics, and US software locks, the Gripen was built for self-reliance. It can land on a frozen highway, refuel in 10 minutes, and take off again with a full weapons load, all using a team of 6 ground crew and a fuel truck. That's not theory. That's Sweden's reality. A nation surrounded by potential threats from the east, forced to design aircraft that can fight, flee, and fight again, all before the enemy's satellites even notice. In contrast, Canada's air defense strategy has been drifting, dependent on NORAD's shared radar network, bound to US maintenance contracts, and stretched thin across 9.9 million square kilometers of ice, ocean, and tundra. Experts dismissed it. Canada needs interoperability with the US, they said, a NATO standard aircraft. But what they really meant was, Canada needs to stay in line. Then came the tests, simulated scenarios, cold weather trials, and data reviews. And that's where the Gripen E began to quietly unravel the myth. While the F-35 dazzled on PowerPoint slides, the Gripen E performed consistently, simply, efficiently. It didn't need massive hangars or endless contractor support. It didn't need US permission to update its systems. It just flew. See, Canada's biggest challenge isn't its enemies. It's geography. From the Arctic Circle to the Pacific Coast, from the frozen north to the NATO patrol zones, every kilometer demands flexibility. A jet that can't operate from remote bases is a liability. A jet that can't be repaired without foreign approval is a risk. The Gripen E answered both problems. In Sweden, it's designed to operate in near-total isolation. Pilots trained to fight with minimal radar coverage. Engineers built it modular, so a computer swap takes minutes, not weeks. And its electronic warfare suite, Erexus, allows it to mimic, jam, or blind enemy sensors without relying on stealth codings or classified code. Then came the turning point, the one that changed how defense analysts looked at Canada's choices. During a joint NATO exercise, Gripen S simulated engagements against advanced radar networks and F-35 formations. The result? The Gripen E managed to engage targets long before being detected, using its sensor fusion and electronic warfare system to see without being seen. That was the moment military observers began to realize something uncomfortable. Sweden had found a smarter way to fight, not with invisibility, but with intelligence. And suddenly, the question wasn't, can Gripen compete? It was, why isn't everyone doing this? For Canada, that question cut deep. Because behind the politics, there's a truth every air commander knows. Technology without strategy is just hardware. The F-35 may dominate NATO headlines, but it demands massive infrastructure, constant software updates, and strict US oversight. For Canada, a country that values sovereignty above all else, that's not just expensive, it's compromising. The Gripen E proved there's another path, one where a nation controls its own skies, its own code, and its own decisions. But in 2022, Ottawa chose the predictable route, the F-35. And that's when the irony hit hardest. Because while Canada spent billions to buy into a system it doesn't fully control, Sweden, with a fraction of the budget, developed a fighter that outsmarts entire fleets. Today, as Canada's first F-35s begin rolling off the line, military planners are quietly acknowledging what the Gripen E exposed. It wasn't about speed or stealth, it was about adaptability. A single Gripen can disperse across rough runways, operate from frozen roads, and relaunch in minutes. The F-35? It requires highly maintained bases, specialized coatings, and hours of prep for each mission. One is a wolf, lean, clever, and agile. The other is a lion, powerful, but slow to move. The world took notice. Brazil, facing vast jungle terrain, chose the Gripen. Finland tested it for their northern defenses. And in every analysis, one fact stood out. The Gripen's low cost wasn't its biggest advantage. Its independence was. For nations tired of buying permission slips disguised as aircraft, that mattered. And for Canada, it was a warning. A warning that modern air power isn't just about technology. It's about trust, autonomy, and the ability to act when no one else can. The story of the Gripen E isn't about a small country challenging giants. It's about a philosophy that brains can beat budgets and efficiency can defeat excess. It's about a fighter built not for show, but for survival. And in exposing Canada's weak spot, dependence over dominance, the Gripen E did something no billion-dollar stealth jet ever could. It told the truth. In the end, history may remember Sweden's Gripen E not as the jet Canada rejected, but as the jet that reminded the world what air power was meant to be: free, flexible, and fearless. Because in a sky full of giants, it's still the smartest hunter that survives.